Thank you very much. Kindly take your seats. Dr. Maria Fe Mendoza, Dean of the Up-Ncpag, Dr. Enrico Basilio and Dr. Maria Faina Diola, Secretaries General of the International Conference, Dr. Erwin Alampay, our session moderator, Ncpag officials, faculty, staff, students, and alumni, plenary speakers, conference participants, my fellow workers in government, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, magandang tanghali po sa inyong lahat. Our world today faces a horde of challenges: increased global tension and terrorism, political instabilities, the rise of authoritarianism and protectionism, the erosion of democratic institutions and personal freedoms, alarming human rights violations, and widespread inequality. We see this in Pakistan, where no prime minister has finished his term, and where there are constant cycles of political instability and military rule. In Venezuela, the death toll in the months-long protest movement has risen as of early August, and the image of a mushroom cloud created by North Korea's ICBMs keeps the whole world in a constant state of alarm. There is a new global order, and it is changing the way we govern and must govern. Within our own shores, we face difficulties that are as complicated as those in other nations. We are frustrated by a drug problem and how best to solve it without violating people's rights. Yet, the drug war is not even our biggest concern. Beneath the surface, there are more pressing problems that we need to address: poverty, hunger, malnutrition, and health, the need for greater transparency and accountability in governance, the importance of social protection, especially for those affected by the war in Marawi City, and many more. And all these must not be swept under the rug. You see the economy's steady growth of 6 to 7%. While one of the highest in the world, is accompanied by high mortality, maternal mortality, hunger, and stunting among our children. The cost of ignoring inequality is already catching up on us. And if we do not include inclusive growth in our priorities, real progress will never be achieved, and poverty will continue to plague our communities. An author once said, and I quote, "Poverty is a horrible, bedeviling force that invades and infects every aspect of our lives and our communities." Close quote. This is why, at the Office of the Vice President, we have vowed to put the poor at the front and center of all our endeavors. Since our first month in office, we have made it our mission to visit the farthest and the poorest barangays in our country, and we have constantly done so, about 2 to 3 days every week for the past 13 months or so. And as we did, we have learned that, first, poverty is not a single phenomenon brought about by loosely connected causes. Instead, it stands at the center of a tight web of interrelated factors, which include deficiencies in governance, public health, social protection, and education, among several others. We learned that if we want to ensure the well-being of the next generation of Filipinos, we also ought to ensure that the health and nutrition of our mothers. That way, they can give birth to healthy babies. The 2013 National Nutrition Survey found that in the Philippines, 1 in 4 pregnant women is anemic and nutritionally at risk. An infant born in these conditions is likely to suffer from wasting, where a child weighs less than the average for their height, as well as stunting, where a child is short for his age. Stunting entails physical and mental impairments, and this is where it gets really alarming. It is irreversible after the age of 5. Stunted children are bound to have an IQ lower by 5 to 11 points, and their educational attainment and productivity are also lower than the average. This is a silent crisis that is all around us, but many of our people do not seem to see. We may eat 3 times a day, and more often than not, we get plenty of choices on what to eat depending on our craving for the day. But millions of Filipino children do not. And they are the ones who will not be able to perform well in school and will not be able to earn their way out of poverty. This is why I always say that the war against hunger and poverty is the war that is most critical among all our struggles today. If we are going to address hunger, we have to go beyond conducting just feeding programs and cash dole-outs. Social protection programs are very important tools against hunger and malnutrition, and they are more effective and efficient in addressing the problem if they are combined with health-related interventions. If we are going to address poverty effectively, our approach must be comprehensive, holistic, and these approaches work best when they are enforced by leaders who are transparent and accountable to their people. I am putting my hope in bright minds like yours to advance a social welfare agenda that will benefit the least, and the lost. I believe that this gathering is a perfect venue to create policies and programs that will address the long overdue problem of poverty. But I hope that as we come up with these programs, we do not reduce the poor to mere numbers and statistics. Late last year, my small team and I traveled to a place called Agutaya in northern Palawan. To reach Agutaya, you have to ride a boat for 10 hours from Coron. There are no hospitals in Agutaya. The only elementary school in one barangay has been destroyed by Yolanda and remains dilapidated up to this day. Grade 5 students are small for their age, not much bigger than their grade 1 counterparts. Rev, ayan si Rev. Rev was one of the children I met in Agutaya. She should have been in grade 5 now, but has already been delayed for 2 years. But she is no bigger than the grade 1 students. Most of her classmates were no different. They were stunted, and as I said earlier, this is a condition that is irreversible after a child turns 5 years old. Why is it so important for us to reach these localities? It is because a little empathy can go a long way in helping those who have been left in the margins. We need a government that truly makes an effort to listen, especially to those who are voiceless and powerless. This is how we can come up with programs that directly impact our people. And we also need the kind of leadership that collaborates. Si Yayan Zamboanga del Norte. I do not know if you have heard about si Yayan. But si Yayan was found to have the most severe type and magnitude of poverty for many, many years, based on a study by the World Bank in 2003. Its poverty incidence was a staggering 97.5%. The people in Siayan could hardly eat 3 meals a day and did not even know what a merienda was. But a mayor named Flora Villarosa changed the town's future through careful and collaborative planning. Through Mayor Flora's active consultations with her people, finally bridges and roads were built and livelihood and entrepreneurial programs were offered to residents. One such program was the creation of a community enterprise development that aimed to increase the income capacity of every household in Siayan. From its establishment in July 2010, it was able to reduce poverty incidence to 70.5% in 2014. This program, being the core of Siayan's economic development, also serves as a pathway to extend assistance to communities through other livelihood sub-programs that evolved from it, particularly on agricultural production. The program also enabled the community and the local government to work hand in hand. In effect, the economy of Siayan greatly improved and its community has been transformed into a self-reliant and more productive one, all because of an effective and empowering leadership. The lesson here is that nothing is impossible if we work together with open hands and generous hearts. The involvement of the academe is paramount in our fight for social development. Your expertise will pave the way to evidence-based policy setting and leadership standards, which will be critical to the success of our programs. That is why I would like to congratulate the Up-Ncpag, the National College of Public Administration and Governance, for your efforts in the last 65 years in equipping our public servants with the necessary skills and competence to transform them into competent, empowering, and effective leaders. And that is also the reason why we're also partnering with other universities across the country to roll out our Angat Buhay program. So thank you all for your efforts to contribute to the reforms our country truly needs. And I hope that you never waver, because the work we do will always be worth it. May we all continue to strive to work hard so that indeed no Filipino will be left behind. Maraming salamat po. Happy 65th anniversary at mabuhay po kayong lahat.